This episode of Witchpolice Radio is brought to you by our friends at the Park Theatre, who have a number of great shows coming up. For more information, visit myparktheatre.com.
Thank you to everyone who supports my dad's show. If you'd like to support Witchpolice Radio, go to patreon.com/witchpolice today.
You're listening to Garbage Hill, Winnipeg's first podcast network.
Alright, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm your regular host Sam, and I'm outside in River Heights with three members of Lounge FM. So how many are there in total? Who are we missing, first of all? How many people are we missing?
We're missing,
How many people are in our band?
That's the question.
That's
I'm getting.
yeah. You start out with a really
I know, a really tough one.
question.
Yeah.
well, there's five, and
Okay.
we're missing Joel, who plays bass, and Matt, who plays guitar.
Okay, and so because there's a lot of voices here, let's just sort of go around the table. Everyone introduce themselves and what they play in the band, and then we can sort of take it from there. So,
Alright, I'm Corey. I play guitar and sing in the band.
I'm Will, otherwise known as Uncle Willie, to the folks that I play with, and I play keyboards.
And my name is Adam. I play the drums.
cool. Okay, well, and I guess the best way to start off is you guys just released a CD like a couple months ago, I guess, at this point, right? So
Yeah.
that maybe is a good starting point. So when did that actually come out? Was it March or April or?
It was March 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And what can you tell me about the CD? Like, what's it called?
Go ahead, Corey.
It's called Love Will Let You Down. It's just like a bunch of songs that we've been making since, I guess, the band started. And it was just like, threw all these songs together, made an album. Turned out to be like more of an album than just a bunch of songs, I think. Which
Was it
kinda
originally
cool.
intended to just be a bunch of songs?
Yeah, and then we kind of tried to like blend everything together to make it sound like a nice piece of.
Cool.
It's kind of got that
Art.
progressive rock kind of attitude in terms of songs flowing into each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to it on the internet, and I like people don't do that enough anymore. Like, so many people's albums are just made for individual singles because they expect everyone to listen on Spotify and shit. And like, it's
Yeah.
nice to see something that's actually made to be an album because that it's just
Yeah.
It's a different kind of experience.
right. And it seems like it was always the experience, and then at some point it switched, and now it's
Right.
not the experience anymore, and I'm left behind.
I'm sure to some people it is just a couple songs that they like and whatever. But
right.
for the people that want to listen to an album, it's there, I guess.
It's there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think.
maybe you're on substances of some nature and you got time to burn. Listen to the whole thing.
Right, start to finish, yeah. So was that on purpose? I mean, did you guys plan it out like this is going to be, sequenced this in this order and stuff, and you wanted the songs to work as a unified thing?
Yeah, like we kind of took it one song at a time, recording, and then as that was happening, I was kind of like placing it in order, like as I heard it. I'm like, okay, this would be good in this spot, and just kind of like jumbled it all together at the end.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I think I mentioned this before we started recording, but whenever I'm kind of get a message from a band that I don't know already, I'm already familiar with, I always am kind of nervous because I get a lot of I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I get a lot of messages from a lot of bands, and a lot of them are honestly not good. There's a lot of bands that it's like, oh, I really appreciate that they're messaging me and they want to be on the show. It's cool, and usually I'm happy to help them out because it's part of the point of this is just like getting lesser known and unknown bands a voice and some spotlight. But I actually really like what you guys are doing, and it wasn't what I expected at all based on the name, although it should have been maybe. The name is actually more descriptive, I guess, than maybe I thought. But I was expecting some kind of indie rock bullshit, and I don't know why. I don't know why. But I mean, you guys. I guess maybe that leads into the question I hate asking people because no one knows how to answer it properly. But how do you define what you do? Because I mean, there's obviously like there's R&B stuff happening there. There's some jazz stuff. There's there's a lot of different genres. So if someone says, if you're talking to someone, they say, "Oh, you're in a band. What kind of music do you play?" How do you put a label on?
I hate that question.
I know, I hate asking it. Everyone hates the question, but I mean, it's a good way to frame sort of the conversation, right? So,
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a
Will,
really
you take
good
this one?
question.
Yeah. I don't, whenever someone asks me, I just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like throw the genres that I think are in it. Like, there's indie, there's jazz, there's pop, there's R&B, soul, funk, everything.
Yeah.
It's like
And then don't forget the rock, kind of backbone to it,
Right.
especially with the guitars, kind of, and even some of the drum element. It's like, oh yeah, these guys probably played some rock and roll growing up, and sure enough, some of us played metal and
Yeah.
rock, and kind of just dabbling in every possible genre.
Is there kind of an overarching genre you could fit it in if you were pressed to? Like, if someone's got a gun to your head and tells you to pick a genre?
One genre?
Yeah.
Pick
Hold
it.
on. I'd just...
Vaporwave.
Vaporwave.
I don't know. What would you say?
Could you almost call it psychedelic rock?
I'd go with that.
Okay.
With elements of soul and R&B. And
Well, I think a lot of psychedelic rock
whatever.
encompasses that stuff anyway, right? Especially the jazz leanings and
Yeah.
music. Got a lot of fusion bands and stuff, and psychedelic. Not that you're a fusion band, but you know what I mean. Like a lot of that stuff just kind of goes hand in hand. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the format and instrumentation that we use as well really leads towards kind of more of a rock band. Like
Okay.
There's 2 guitars, lots of keyboards, drums and bass are generally moving there. So
I think because there's so many like genres you could throw, it's because like we're all such different musicians at the same time. Like everyone's got like their own style, so like it's just like a big mixture of so many styles. I think.
It's a hodgepodge. We'll start a new genre.
right, hodgepodge. Yeah.
Got to listen to it, I guess, to
Yeah.
really know.
Well, I mean, I know the question sucks too because it's like it's hard for. I mean, unless you're like a straight ahead country band or something, or it's a rapper. Like, there's very few genres where you can just say, yeah, I'm this one thing, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I mean, even bands that sound very obviously like, oh yeah, you're this, but no, there's other stuff floating around in the background and everything. So yeah,
It
it's
is.
hard to, I hate
It's a
asking
tough
it, but
question, but you got to ask it.
it's the important one,
Gotta
right? Because
do
you
it.
I have to when I do the write up for the episode, I got to explain you guys. Right?
Right,
So,
yeah.
it's more for me than for the listener. I just need to find a way to actually label this thing. But no, I really dug it. It was again not what I expected. I'm not sure why I thought what I thought about the name, but
Yeah.
because I mean the lounge relates more to R&B and stuff anyway than it does to indie rock.
Are they a
but,
lounge act? Do they do lounge songs? Yeah.
but so where does that? I mean, just to focus on like I guess the soul R&B element of it. Where does that come from for you guys? Like, what do you got? Any of you have a background playing that kind of stuff beforehand, or
Nope.
A lot of that comes from Corey, our songwriter
Okay.
here. You can speak for yourself, Corey, but
I just like started listening to a lot of R&B a couple years ago, and I just started learning jazz chords on guitar,
okay?
and then I don't know, just all went from there, I guess.
I have
And
a
Will,
bit, I have a bit of training in like jazz studies.
Okay.
I sort of have less than half a degree, so that makes me a dropout.
Yeah.
But the reason I applied was my interest in jazz, and jazz is, again, especially nowadays, is a very wide tent, very broad.
Oh, absolutely,
tent.
yeah.
So R&B,
With 6,000 subgenres underneath it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you listen to all the old like R&B and even like the Motown and
Yeah.
and funk, so much of that is rooted in very traditional jazz. So yeah, so a lot of that is covered by, for me, my influence in the jazz
Okay.
world, leads to,
Well, and you can hear jazz in what you guys do too. I mean, there's obviously jazz
Yeah.
influence as well as the soul thing, right? So
especially just the chords.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the very
Yeah.
rich, like, 6-7 note voicings and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of very more jazz than it is rock. But
it almost sounds more
Yeah.
textured too than rock. I mean, none of that rock can't be textured, but just in terms of like rock is fairly straight ahead. Like the bass
Yeah.
player is playing something that relates directly to what the guitar player is doing, and the drummer, But whereas, what I get from what I've heard of your stuff is that it's a lot more. There's more depth to it, I guess, than just straight ahead like bashing something out. So-
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, we left the mix very like kind of open and dynamic as well, and it's very spacey and
Yeah.
reverby and swampy and that kind of thing is generally not your tight compressed rock and roll sound.
No.
So yeah, it does lend itself to other suggestions. Musically, and it was interesting. I mean, I like jazz as well, and like working on just anything interesting musically. So it was an easy project to put together
Yeah.
on that end.
Had you guys all been in previous bands locally? Like, had you been doing this then leading up to this project, or?
actually,
Most of
all
these
of us
guys.
except for Corey
It's
here.
kind of like I don't know. I was in when I was a teenager, I was in like metal bands and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then
I think most people in Winnipeg as teenagers were either in punk bands or metal bands.
It's true.
yeah, totally.
They were the like accessible genres.
Yeah,
and
exactly, yeah.
The angst kind of driven side of
Something you can yell at.
teenage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Other than that, I played a lot of like cover bands.
Okay.
But this is kind of like my first real deal thing. but not these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, for like me, and I have a twin brother he's not the drummer in this project,
Okay.
but I played with him on a number of projects. So yeah, there's all kinds of like, because we're all from this small town Niverville, so
Oh, cool. Okay.
it's like we've all had, there's all kinds of like sort of, for lack of a better word, like incestuous, nepotistic music
Yeah.
playing, and like there really is tons of crossover.
Well, Winnipeg has that already anyway, so I imagine. Yeah. You guys are all from Niverville, is that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
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 I'm actually going
The
there in a
entire
couple
bit.
weeks for my kids' rugby tournament.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
kidding.
It's a wonderful place.
Yeah, I haven't been there. I went there as a kid once, but yeah, I've been there all the time.
Hespeler Park? Is that where the tournament
Probably,
is?
yeah. I think
probably.
it is. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Go to Gan's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
yeah,
Chinese
totally.
food.
Cool. All right, good
Excellent.
to know.
Chinese,
Good to know.
The
yeah,
best in Niverville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So had you been in bands in Niverville then, or is there a music scene in Niverville? I mean, it's fairly small.
There's
right?
lots of musicians. in Niverville,
Surprisingly,
actually,
when
yeah.
we were growing up,
Yeah?
yeah, there was a lot of music happening there.
That's cool,
Yeah,
actually,
lots
yeah.
of metal, and in the surrounding southern Manitoba area as well. We'd go out and play Steinbach or Landmark.
Okay.
And that kind of area when we were in high school and just after, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, there was a surprisingly good kind of, I mean, again, it was all just because it's such a small town. Inevitably, anybody who starts up a new project, there's going to be all kinds of support.
Yeah, of course.
And like you said, a lot of the music's total shit. But you have this. It's a really kind of nice thing. You probably wouldn't find it as much in Winnipeg, even though it's there. But you really feel obligated to go to your friends' shows
Sure,
in
yeah,
town
yeah.
and help.
Well,
each
Winnipeg, you have
other
more
out.
choices, right? There's just, Friday night you can do one of 50 things
Yeah,
versus.
exactly.
I'm assuming,
Exactly.
I don't want to, imply
Yeah.
that Niverville nothing's going on, but
There's nothing going on.
You're right, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, that's
So-
exactly how you end up playing music there.
Right,
too,
yeah.
So there's nothing
Yeah,
else happening.
yeah.
So
There's so
you
few
pick it up
venues too,
and-
right? So we were always trying to rent like the local arena, which I don't
Okay.
even know if they would do that anymore. Or we managed before the place maybe got kind of trashed one too many times. The local, it's called Sun City. It's kind of affiliated with I think
yeah.
Maranatha. Is it Maranatha Church
Word
or
of-
No, Word of Life.
Word of Life? How many churches do we have in that town?
7.
Yeah.
More than people.
more than people, yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's inevitably, if you were into music, like you were just immediately part of the scene, and
Right.
it wasn't such a little, or like a small, what's the expression I'm looking for, kind of like a boys club. It's like, you want to play music? Sure. Like, start
Yeah.
a band, and you're bound to get support from friends and family. So,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Which is great when you suck and you don't know you suck.
course, yeah.
You need that kind of
Yeah.
faith.
Well, I think every band that sucks gets friends and family supporting, and that's about it, right? If they get better, then it leads to bigger things. But yeah.
It's a race against time before you realize that you suck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All of a sudden, you realize you're pretty good after a few years.
Is there a Niverville, like, is there a sound from Niverville that exists? Like, I mean, is there a sort of a certain thing that is popular there, or when you guys were there, that sort of you still take with you? Like, is there something from that town that you
Right.
guys continue to this day to bring into what you do?
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Niverville was it was diverse because
Yeah.
at the drop-in center there you'd have metal shows and then you'd have guys playing like country or bluegrass stuff like,
Okay.
or like singer-songwriter stuff, so it was very open to a lot of diversity in music. And even thinking now of like the musicians that I know from there, they're all so different.
Yeah.
But
It's not like the Chicago sound.
Well,
or
yeah.
something.
I don't know. Maybe I'm missing out. Maybe there was a Niverville sound that's like something particular in it.
It was also random. Like,
Yeah.
it was-
Yeah.
It's all over the place, but
Yeah.
like you said, punk or metal. I think we kind of grew up with that kind of tribalistic rivalry where we were metalheads, and
Oh, yeah.
Steinbach had more of like a punk scene, and so
Right.
there was like that kind of tug of war going on between
Yeah.
between those kinds of genres. But we had a lot of metal, like for whatever reason, like Niverville just had a lot of.
I feel like that's
thrashers.
a smaller town kind of thing, though, because I mean, like I know Brandon. I don't know if it still does, but it used to have a massive metal scene. I remember playing some shows there with my band from here in like the early 2000s, and there's like so many metalheads, and all the bands from there were all like just metal. Yeah.
So interesting. It is a small town thing. There's
Yeah,
something
it's
must be
country
nothing
and
to
metal,
do,
right? Like,
and
yeah.
you just get out that angst, and it's a way to get out your kind of young man aggression.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, in the late 90s, there was so much metal happening.
Yeah,
Like, everyone was listening to metal in Niverville. Pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now I don't even know what's going on musically,
Well, it's
so
probably been a while,
you
right?
definitely
Yeah.
can't pin down a Niverville sound because I really don't think there's much. We were kind of at the heyday.
It might be
of-
fading away.
Don't judge it by the Niverville Fair.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I'll be on the coming up in a couple weeks. So we'll
nice.
see how that goes. Yeah.
They focus more on the pop country.
Yes, I noticed that. I figured
Yeah.
I'm going there anyway. I'm going to look up what's happening at the. And yeah, it was very pop country heavy. So
It's another kind of small town faux pas.
yeah,
Everybody's got
yeah,
a.
Yeah.
It's a little weird, but
Yeah, I'm not. None of us are into that at all.
yeah. No, I wouldn't have expected that from listening. But like, it's weird that you mentioned earlier that Steinbach was more punk, because based on the little I know about Steinbach, it seems like the place that punk would never ever exist.
Right.
Just because of the like religious kind of heavy vibe and
Yeah.
yeah it's weird to think
Yeah.
of Steinbach punks, but I mean I guess that's maybe an environment where punks thrive because there's so much kind of heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, like, if all of a sudden you are that kid with pink hair and you have like a weird like earring or,
Yeah.
or something like that, you kind of, I don't know, it's a way to, it's a little bit of like polite rebellion against the
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like religiosity
I
of
guess,
the town.
yeah.
So.
Fuck you, Mom. I'm not going to church today.
I'm dyeing my hair pink and get the piercing. Yeah. For sure. as a group that plays an indefinable genre, I guess, because they got the jazz, the soul, R&B, all of those things, the psychedelic. Like, where do you fit in locally in the music scene? Because I don't know if there's necessarily a scene that covers all those bases the same way you do. I saw on the show you did for your CD release, you had Odd Outfit and Jay Wood, both of whom I've had on the show before too.
Oh, nice.
And I can see how they would fit. But I mean, I don't know how you really define those guys either of them. Like, it's kind of hard to say. So do you feel like you fit in with any
It doesn't
particular?
seem like there's a lot of options, but
Yeah.
there's a select few that we feel like we can fit in with. Like, yeah, like, we love playing with Jaywood.
Yeah,
That dude's great,
yeah, awesome dude. Yeah,
and I don't know, they kind of have a similar like jazzy, dancey pop stuff that kind of fits in with us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sometimes it's a matter of who you get along with and who you've played with.
right. Regardless
and
of what
that-
the sound is. Yeah.
And then and then sometimes it's like what you appreciate, what you hear out there, and what you're like, oh, I like that sound, even if it's not
Yeah.
really close to the sound that you like, you're
Sure.
like, or that you're similar to, most associated with, but something that you just personally like, and I think I appreciated that about Odd Outfit. So
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was
they're,
nice having them on
they're
the
more
bill,
like
'cause-
they're clearly jazz based, but they got so
Yeah.
much other stuff going on too. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
But then at your show, you can sit back after or before your set,
Right.
or whatever. Oh yeah, I appreciate this music that's happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it makes the night.
Yeah, it's not, to me, it's like whatever we do fit into, it's not going to be as sort of pigeonholed as, like, I remember playing metal in Winnipeg, and it was like, yeah, we're booking with other metal bands
Right,
or
right.
hardcore
That's
bands.
kind of where I
or
was going. Yeah.
heavy, but yeah, when you kind of get into the nether regions and you fall into some sort of broad kind of hipster tent where there's all kinds of stuff, and I think these guys were right to suggest, like, yeah, if you appreciate or even have respect for a band,
Yeah,
play a gig with them.
You can fit with them. Yeah, even if it is a metal band and a folk singer or something,
Could
it doesn't
totally
matter.
happen.
Yeah, for sure. So do you like, who's the audience then for what you do? I mean, is it just people who are interested in the various facets of what makes up your sound, or?
My eyes are usually closed the entire time, so I don't really look at who's there.
Audience?
Friends and family. This
Yeah.
part, and
My mom and dad.
definitely. Yeah, who's picking up on us in Winnipeg? That's a.
I mean, I
tough
don't know
one.
if you guys even know the answer to that, right? Because I mean, it's
Yeah.
sort of, once it's out there, and whoever gloms onto it, kind of, right? Yeah, yeah.
And I
Hopefully
guess
just
we're
the
still
indie idiots.
trying to figure that out in Winnipeg, and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we haven't had terribly large gigs or like terribly many gigs.
Right.
We kind of went right into the recording process, and we're just like, let's hammer out some tunes. So
Oh, cool.
now that we have it, we're kind of trying to establish where we kind of fit in and go, who else is kind of like us?
Right.
Who else can we see ourselves on a bill with? And
Awesome.
I guess we're aiming at the indie crowd a bit, but
Yeah,
Right.
But also we like the R&B sound and the jazz stuff, and I don't hear a lot of it in Winnipeg. So if others are out there doing that kind of stuff, I'd be interested to hear.
Call us.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're
We'd
looking
love
for
to
a
play.
gig.
Well, I feel like the jazz community in Winnipeg. I've had a few jazz artists on, and I'm trying to get more involved in it because there's some really cool stuff happening. But it's
Yeah.
it's its own island almost outside of the. I mean, coming from like I played in punk bands and shit like everyone else, and like so I come from that kind of background, and I can very easily kind of move in those circles. But the jazz thing seems very separate, and there's people doing really interesting stuff, but they're almost not playing any shows with. Like I don't know what I guess they're like they're rock-ish bands almost, and they're sort of on their own. So have you kind of like are there local jazz artists that you guys have kind of
I like
picked up on, or?
that Super Duty Tough Rock band.
Yeah,
We
oh,
went
those
to-
guys are great.
We
Yeah,
went to Dilladay.
Yeah,
That was
Nice,
the first time I
nice.
saw them.
Yeah, those are incredible. Yeah,
And that was really cool. So
yeah, I was impressed. I'd love to catch more of them.
other than that, I don't
those
know.
guys have kind of a crossover appeal too, right? Because the hip hop thing, so they they got that
Yeah.
audience, and then and the jazz types as well.
I remember one show that like definitely kind of waggled my eyebrows was when I heard Moses Mace.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of it was sick.
And I remember just going like, oh man, how can you not dig this? Like
Yeah.
they just every time they play at Jazz Fest or
Yeah.
like it's you can tell everybody's just having fun regardless of your
Sure.
musical propensity, and that's really appealing. I'm not sure what they're doing now, but
Yeah, I don't think they exist.
but they're
anymore.
definitely they got one very good like boot in the jazz world.
Yeah.
But it's got
Well, and there
that
were a
kinda
few bands like that
generic
back in the day too. Like the Hummers as well was a good example of a band like that doing the instrumental thing and very funk and jazz and soul and all that. Yeah. But I don't know. It's the genre thing is hard because like I mean the best thing about a lot of shows is when you get totally different genres mixed up and then you can get exposed to new things. But I feel like sometimes people putting on shows don't want to do that. Or they don't want to take a risk with a band that maybe doesn't sound like something easily definable. So I don't know, it's hard, yeah.
And some genres just seem to lend themselves more to like I have a guitar player that I played in this great kind of country blues act, the Mad Trappers.
Okay, yeah.
And they did a lot of sort of high and low, some sort of style kind of type gigs.
Yeah.
And a lot of the bands that they played with kind of were somewhere in that field. And then that venue lends itself really well to that style. So whereas I don't see a metal act playing.
No,
high and low
it would be
anytime.
cool to see that. Like I would kind of like to go to a show and actually see.
Yeah.
just because the vibe would be so weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like people almost like bands almost get pigeonholed on their own whether they want to or not, right? I mean, it's like you fit in this venue,
Self-organized.
yeah. Like the last band I was in was probably 10 years ago, but we were kind of a noise rock band that had like robot mascots and like weird space effects and shit and psychedelic like projections and everything, and we got stuck playing a bunch of art shows. Like for some reason that crowd thought there was more depth to it than there actually was, and it was like the guy in the robot suit was just our friend who could play instruments. But but like so we kept getting shows at art galleries and stuff, and it was like it was really weird because. It was kind of weird. I'm screaming into a microphone about aliens and stuff, and like bashing on a keyboard or whatever. And then there's these people sitting there kind of rubbing their chins, like trying to interpret it. And it's like this is not like this doesn't make sense to me because I'm not. It doesn't mean anything. Like I'm just yelling about space because it's fun.
If people want to
Yeah.
read into it and take more depth,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you even imply that's
So you can't choose it, right? It just you get put where you get put, I guess. And yeah,
That's true.
I don't know. So I don't know where you guys are put. But maybe that hasn't happened yet. I don't know. Maybe it hasn't. Yeah.
I don't really think we're there yet. Yeah, we haven't played out quite enough to really have a strong sense of where we fit into the musical community. And frankly, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm getting a bit older, don't
Yeah.
go out as much, but I'm not even sure really what the state of the Winnipeg scene is right now. there's definitely a lot of people doing stuff.
Tons of people, yeah.
Yeah, and it's always, there's no shortage of musicians.
No, if I wasn't doing this show, I'd have no idea either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking to at least one band a week, so it keeps me informed. But like, yeah, there's so much to follow. Like, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are still playing music from back when I did, and I can keep up with what they're doing. But every time they play a show, there's 4 new bands in the bill I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And which is cool. It's great. It's great to see. Like, but I'm too old. I'm out of the sort of loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels that way.
It does,
after
yeah.
you
Yeah.
roll over 30. a
Yeah.
little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like-
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I interview some bands who. I mean, I'm going to be 36 in a few months, and like I interview bands that are 19, and it's interesting because their view of music and of everything is just completely different, and it's almost more interesting to talk to them than it is to talk to someone my own age because
Right.
it's just like we're all both over each other's heads. You know?
Yeah.
Like I'll make a reference to some band that I grew up listening to, and then who's that?
Yeah.
So, what do you mean who's that? It was on the radio. Oh wait, you were not born for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I'm always suspicious when people say, I mean, you hear this a lot, but it's always like people will say, the scene is just not what it was, or it's dying, or people don't make good music anymore, and it's a very...
It's just you're not the person anymore. Like you're not. Yeah, it's not for you anymore, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Like I had an uncle, without digressing too much, but he's my Uncle Evan, and he played in a great local Winnipeg group called Grand Theft Canoe.
Okay, I remember them. Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
That was the
now-
early '90s, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. They probably hit their heyday, and they were so good, and they were such a tour de force to be reckoned with in the Winnipeg scene. And now most people have never heard of them,
Yeah.
and they just kind of fizzled out. But and I only heard of him because he's my uncle, but
Yeah.
I never would have. So 10 years, a gap between generations.
Yeah,
is a
it's
very
a big
massive
gap for sure. Yeah. And at least the good thing now is everything's on the internet, so everything's going to be preserved a little bit. Like whereas that stuff is, I mean, if you don't have the CD or the tape for back then, it's just gone, right? Like you can't find it anymore. So it's
She gone.
yeah, just not coming back. Yeah. So I noticed that you guys were also involved in the birthday tape stuff, right?
We've done, yeah. We're on a compilation.
The compilation, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you released anything with them, or is your
Just that one song.
Just one song?
But yeah.
That was Slumber Party?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we never released anything more than that. But I recently, actually gave that tape a listen in my buddy's Buckster band that he just got.
Baxter.
And I was like, wow, it sounds kind of cool. So now I'm kind of like, should we release this on tape?
And the answer is probably not.
Probably not going to happen, but
Yeah.
well,
Kinda cool.
tapes? I think it's interesting because I never stopped listening to tapes, so I have like this big collection of them. But I keep meeting people who buy tapes just as collector's items. Like they go to a show and some band has something on their tape, so they buy it and use the download card, and then say, "Well, can I have the tape?"
yeah.
Just tosses out the download.
Yeah, exactly.
card.
Yeah, I don't need the download card. Yeah. But I mean, CD. I guess you guys put it on CD. Is that just mainly so people have something to buy at shows, or?
Yeah, and just to
Yeah.
have some kind of physical copy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sent them out to college radios and stuff
Yeah.
Across Canada as well, and that's, I think radios will appreciate. Yeah,
It's much
having CDs.
nicer to have
So
CD for sure.
when you're trying to get it out there, it's kind of standard format.
Still is kind of standard format.
Yeah,
even
it's the
though,
last remaining one. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will it be in 10 years? It's hard to say. But for whatever reason, the CD is still, seems like you got to do it when you put out an album.
For sure. Well, it's good. I mean, as someone, I still listen to I only listen to physical music. Like, I have never really gotten into the digital thing, just because I do most of my listening at home. I have a stereo, and I don't need to have a computer hooked up to it because I can just go to the wall.
And it's
pull-
tactile.
Yeah.
It is dying,
I
but
love
it's
that part
nice.
of it. Yeah. Even tapes.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to be able to open something up.
Yeah.
Even if I've heard
Yeah.
listened to the album 25 times, I still like to open up and read something, and it's just it's like they hammered it in my brain from how I used to do it. So I don't know.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to love just going to buy a CD, just saw the artwork too.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lyrics would be inside of it, and it's that's cool. But now that is pretty much non-existent. You just buy it online. And
Yeah, you
that's
buy
it.
one song of the album and you just listen to it, and then it's disposable, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will ever fully die. That pleasure that you get from a physical material thing in your hand.
I think there's a small group of people who are just always going to do that, and then every year there's going to be new kids who discover that, and kind of that becomes their thing too, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's miss having that CD binder thing.
I got tons of them. I still have a bunch of them. Yeah.
You slip the artwork inside and
Yep.
the CD's behind it.
Yeah, I do. I have 3 of those things. I got 500 CDs each, and they
Nice.
it manages just to take up a lot less space, but it's,
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah, I can't get rid of them.
Keep it going.
I'm going to. Yeah, the good thing is now CDs are super cheap because people are getting rid of them, so I pick up all kinds of
Oh,
stuff.
totally. Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I feel like getting rid of that stuff and re-obtaining it digitally is a big waste of time. Because a lot of people do that, right? They drop from one. When tapes kind of died out, they went to CDs, and then when CDs kind of died out, they got rid of the CDs and went to MP3s and stuff. And then when that changed, they got to Spotify. And it's just, I don't know, it's too much work to go dig up their same stuff. So it's
It's going to be harder and harder to keep up, probably.
yeah. And then what happens if the apocalypse scenario or something, like
Exactly.
the internet goes down or Spotify goes bankrupt, and then you have nothing, right?
Grab your generator, plug in your
yeah.
CD player.
turning it. Yeah.
The whole neighborhood will be
Yeah, you're right,
sitting
exactly,
under
yeah.
candlelight with you.
Yeah.
The whole digital world is just so convenient, though.
Oh, it's for sure. That's
Turn on
the
your
appeal.
Bluetooth, press play, and you got everything at your fingertips, too.
Any song ever made by anybody.
I have Google Play. I can just search up any album I want, and it's all there.
You could make a pretty good case that it's almost too much.
It is too much, yeah.
You have
You kind of lose an
everything at
interest
your-
in music almost to a point.
Well, it's too simple to just flip to the next
Yeah.
thing, right? So yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
when you have access to everything ever.
Yeah.
Where do you start? Whereas
I know,
it shows your priorities when you go, I'm buying this album.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
you can listen to it enough times to make the purchase worthwhile, even if it doesn't grab you at first. You're going to give it 5 listens because you spent $15 on it.
Exactly.
So then maybe by the 4th listen, you're like, "Holy shit, this is great!" This happened, right? I mean, you buy something and it's okay, and then you try it again, and
I was forced to like it almost.
yeah, something clicks, right? Something's like, "Okay, I'm glad I bought this because this one song," or and then that song makes you like the other songs. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I find myself I'll go through breaks where I don't listen to music at all. Just because, I don't know. I've listened to everything so much because it's so easy to listen to.
Yeah.
And I'll just, not listen to music for a while. Just hit podcasts or something.
Joe Rogan's podcast or something.
Something like that.
One of those will take up a month of listening.
Yeah,
It's so
exactly.
long. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's super weird.
So if someone is hearing about you guys for the first time on this show, what is the best thing for them to do to find out more information? Where should they go? Where can they hear you? I mean, not necessarily upcoming shows, but if they want to just do the digital thing like we're just talking about.
Right. Well, we're on all that digital stuff like Spotify, iTunes, Google, and then we're on Instagram, Facebook, wherever. You can find us there.
It's basically all the spots everyone's on all day anyway.
Yeah, we're everywhere you can find us except Twitter. We don't have Twitter yet. I've been tossing that idea around my brain, but I don't know if I want to be doing that all
You got to open up that can of worms.
Yeah.
I don't have a personal Twitter account.
I actually love Twitter. I mean, my only account I have is the one for the show, and 90% of what I'm posting is not about the show. I'm just yelling at people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, I can't think of any other format where I can find a celebrity that pisses me off and just tell them.
Yeah.
Whether they read it or not.
See, I share 100% of my genetics with my twin brother, and he decided to get a Twitter account, and he spends so much time and energy
brother's on
on
Twitter?
there. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, my brother James is on Twitter. I'm like,
Wow.
And it's kind of like the ghost of Christmas future is
Right.
like, if I decide to do this, this is
the
inevitably going to
direction it's
consume
going.
me.
Yeah.
So I haven't done it yet.
I have a personal account that I haven't used in like years, but it's there. I think it's all just a bunch of hockey talk.
That's what half of mine is for half the year. Yeah, it's like now that the Jets are out, I don't. It's the hockey talk has died down a little bit. But
Yeah.
I'm still shitting on the NHL and stuff. Yeah.
I like Twitter for like it's like your own personal newspaper. Like you get all the news. It's like
Yeah.
it's basically news almost.
It
You
is
can
news that you
follow-
can interact with basically and,
Yeah.
and swear at whoever
That's it,
politicians,
yeah.
reporters, doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I told-
Vegans.
Yeah,
No, just
anybody, it
kidding.
doesn't make a difference. Yeah.
I think I messaged Rihanna on Twitter once and told her she was ugly.
It's like
Oh boy.
for no reason or just
That was like the best tweet I've ever made. Yeah, just no reason. I think
I think you're objectively
hot.
wrong about that, but
Maybe, but
well,
I
it's
just wanted
your
to take her
opinion.
ego down a bit.
That's right.
She probably didn't see it, but
no, she probably has about 6 assistants doing it.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, anyway, so people can find you on everything but Twitter at the moment. The band.
Yeah.
And the CD itself, is it available anywhere outside of shows or?
You can buy it on Bandcamp,
Okay.
or just if you live in the city, just slide into our DMs on Instagram,
But not Twitter.
not Twitter.
Right.
Because I'll probably tell you you're ugly if I.
It's a great way to sell CDs. I like the marketing
Yeah.
strategy. It's-
Hey, can I see? No, you're ugly.
All right, so yeah,
The
people should
actual
do that. They
customer
should check out the album. They should go to Bandcamp, whatever digital thing you're using to listen to music, find it
Yeah.
there. And if you want to hear more episodes of this show, go to witchpolice.com or any of the social media things, including Twitter, and you'll find it here. All close to 300 episodes are there for free download and streaming. So if you want to hear some really bad ones from back in 2012, you can do that. Or if
I
you want to hear
do.
good ones from this year, those are there too.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, it also airs on UMFM on Sundays at midnight, and those are older episodes that get a second win. So this one might not air for 3 or 4 months, but if people forgot to hear it when it originally came out, they can just boom.
We're not
There it is.
going anywhere.
Tune
so
in on Sunday midnight. You got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Prime radio listening time. So yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's a fun conversation.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you so much.
Cool.
It's been a slice.